A very good morning to you all and happy Thursday of the first week of Lent. Today I want to share with you a little bit about the origins of the season of Lent. The early Christians, obviously, they celebrated Easter, but there was some development in the process of celebrating the days leading up to Easter and then the 40 days leading up to Easter. And where did that all come from? And ultimately it goes back to the preparation that people who were in the process of becoming Catholic were going through, and their final preparation for becoming Catholic at the Easter time, at the Easter Vigil. And because they were going through that final preparation, so also the rest of the church started doing some of those practices along with those who were going through that preparation. And we see that reflected in the RCIA process that we currently have in the church. The RCIA stands for Rite of Christian Initiation of Adult. It's the process of people who are becoming Catholic, which culminates with the rites of initiation at the Easter Vigil. But there's a process, there's a step-by-step process, there's time periods and then different rituals that lead up to that. And it begins with the time period of inquiry, people who are interested, asking questions, learning a little bit. And that time period leads up to the rite of acceptance, where, the people who are interested in learning more are, formally accepted into the process of becoming Catholic. Then comes the time period called the catechumenate, and the people involved are called catechumens. And that's really marked by a lot of learning about the faith. Like, what does the church teach? What do we as Catholics believe? That's a lot of that process is about learning about what we believe. And then at the beginning of Lent, there's this ritual that takes place, which is called the rite of election. And that's the point where the people who are in that process say, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to plan on going ahead and actually becoming, I'm no longer just like learning, I'm gonna really commit to this. And the church on her part saying, yes, we elect you to become Catholic at Easter. And the time period between that rite of election and the rituals of initiation which take place at the Easter Vigil is called the time of purification and enlightenment. And that time period overlaps Lent almost exactly. Usually the rite of election happens first Sunday in Lent, if you can make it work that way. And so that time period of Lent is for people going through RCIA, specifically the time period of purification and enlightenment, which is spiritual deepening, spiritual growth, spiritual growing closer to God as they prepare to receive the sacraments. The rest of us, similar to the early church, the rest of us go through that same time period with them and sort of support them on the way by going through the same practices that they might be going through. Whatever that might be, prayer, fasting, almsgiving, whatever the exact thing that we do is, it falls into that category of purification, enlightenment, spiritual preparation for Easter. And then at Easter comes the rites of initiation, which are the three sacraments of initiation: baptism, confirmation, and First Communion. And then there's actually a fourth time period which happens after Easter, and this was way more important in the early church than we give it importance now, and it's called mystagogy. And I will probably talk more about mystagogy after Easter, but just right now, it's that time period of teaching of insiders, if you will, because it's difficult to learn about the sacraments unless you've received the sacraments. And I'll give an example. When I was going through seminary, they called it formation for the priesthood. And the very last class we had, formation class, one of the priests there said, your formation for the priesthood will actually begin the day you're ordained a priest, because that's when you'll actually have experiences as a priest, and you'll need to learn from those experiences. And, we can tell you all about it and tell you what to expect and tell you a bunch of different things, and you can know about it, but you can't actually know what it is to be a priest until you are a priest. And then once you start having those experiences as a priest, there's so much more learning to be done from that point onwards. And the period of mystagogy focuses on that reality. Like, you can learn about what it is to be a Christian, but until you're baptized and you have that relationship with the Father established through baptism into the family of God, you can't know what it is to be a Christian until you are. And so that period of mystagogy was really super important in the early church, and I think we probably downplay it a little too much today. Our RCIA classes tend to end at Easter, and we'll do a celebration afterwards. And maybe that's something we might need to recover in the future. We'll see. That's not the current practice, but I can see a certain value in continuing to learn after Easter, and certainly encouraging those going through RCIA to do everything they can to continue learning. So there you go. That's a bit of an overview of the RCIA process for those who didn't know. And also, that's why we do Lent, is because of people who are becoming Catholic and deepening their spirituality on their way there, and are joining in them in celebrating this season of deeper purification and enlightenment. God bless you all. Have a wonderful Thursday of the first week of Lent.